Hello. If you're watching this video, you are likely considering applying to the Master of Development Engineering program. We know sometimes the application process can feel a little overwhelming or confusing. So in this video, we're going to walk through some of the key parts of the application that we often get the most questions about. Now, we won't go through every part of the application, but if you have any questions after watching the video, you're welcome to schedule an advising appointment with one of our advisors. The link for that is below. We also have a full admissions guide where we walk through the application step by step. And link for that is also below, that we highly encourage you to review as you're working on your application. So we'll get into looking at the application. The first few sections are pretty self-explanatory. We ask for some basic biographical information, some personal background, and educational background information about yourself. One thing that's important to note about the economic background section is that this is an optional section. It's not used to make admissions decisions, even if you fill it out. But we still encourage you to complete it because the information here may be considered when determining eligibility for need-based departmental fellowships. The next section is the academic history section. Here we ask you to provide information about every academic institution you've attended after high school. The details about all the materials that must be included in what you submit are listed here. One thing that's important is that if your academic records, meaning your transcript or your diploma or your degree certificate, are in a language other than English or Spanish, there's details here about how to submit translated versions of them. So please look at this carefully if your academic records are in a language other than English or Spanish. Here, you'll add the information one by one for each school. One thing that's important here is the information about your GPA. If your GPA is listed on your transcript, for most people, they do have a final grade point average listed on their transcript, listed here. And then indicate what scale your GPA is on. In the US, our grading scales are typically 4.0, so it defaults here to 4.0. But if your grading scale is on a 5-point scale or on a 100-point scale or some other scale, indicate that here so that we know how to properly evaluate your cumulative GPA. And then submit your transcript over here. If your final degree for your bachelor's or for any other degree you've received is not listed on your transcript, or if it's just the degree but the date that it was conferred is not listed, you must submit a degree certificate or a diploma, a copy of those documents along with your transcript here. That's very important. A lot of students don't remember to do that. So please do remember to upload your degree certificate or diploma if your degree and conferral date aren't listed on your transcript. So you will do this one by one for each institution. If you're currently finishing up some courses, then you'll list all the courses that you're currently taking over here. All right, and then the next section, the grade section, also continues along those lines. This has some additional information about your grade point average. For all students whose grade point scale is on a 4-point scale, we ask that you put your advanced GPA, which is all courses that you've completed after your second year of your degree, here. We have two other sections, one for courses in your major field of study and courses related to the field of study for which you're applying, which is the Master of Development Engineering program, which you can calculate yourself and indicate here if you'd like, but this isn't required. But anyone who has a GPA on a 4-point scale must submit their advanced GPA here. And then for anyone who doesn't have their GPA listed on their transcript, they don't have a final grade point average listed there in their transcript, we have a worksheet for you to calculate your cumulative GPA on our website. It's also in the admissions guide. We ask you to fill out that worksheet to calculate your cumulative GPA and then upload that worksheet here. That's really important because for every student, we do need some way to verify what your final cumulative GPA is. Okay, the next section that we're going to talk about is the letters of recommendation section. All students are asked to submit at least 3 letters of recommendations as part of their application. Now, you won't actually be submitting the letters yourself, but you'll be putting in the names of 3 people who will provide those recommendations. And you're able to submit at least up to 5 names. So minimum is 3, maximum is 5 recommenders. We encourage you to ask people who know you well in an academic or professional setting and can speak to your potential for success in the development engineering program. You'll submit their name and contact information of each of your recommenders here, and then they'll be notified to submit their letter on your behalf. Please make sure you allow enough time for recommenders to submit their recommendations before the application deadline. So the earlier you add their information in here, the better it is so that they'll have more time to submit their letters. The next section is the employment section. This is fairly straightforward. Any kind of position that you've held, could be a job, could be an internship, listed over here, provide a brief description of it. That way we have an understanding of your employment history. The next section is test scores. One thing to note is that we don't require the GRE or any other standardized test for admission. But if you have taken any of those standardized exams and would like to submit your scores, you may do so here. And then for all applicants who have completed a basic degree in a country or region where English is not the primary language, both in day-to-day life and also for academic instruction, you must provide some proof of your level of English language proficiency. And so there's 3 options listed here of how you can do that. 2 of those are through standardized exams. One is the TOEFL and one is the IELTS. The details about taking those exams, which versions of those exams are accepted, the scores for them, 90 for the TOEFL and at least 7 for the IELTS, are all listed here. So please pay particular attention to this. The third option indicates that if you've taken at least 1 year of full-time academic coursework with grades of B or better in residence from a university in the US, then you can submit your transcript under the academic history section, and that can fulfill the requirement for English language proficiency. All right. The next section is for your statements or essays. Now we have 2 statements that you'll be submitting. One is the statement of purpose. The other is the personal history statement. I know they sound very similar, so it's easy to get them confused. But we ask you to read the prompts carefully, and that should give you clarity of the focus for each. Big picture, the statement of purpose is a chance to explain why you want to be part of the MDevEng program, how you feel prepared for it, and what are some of the goals you have. For example, what you'd like to learn and what kind of career you hope in education in MDevEng will prepare you for. The personal history statement asks you to speak more in depth about your own personal background and life experiences and how these have shaped your academic and or professional path. But again, there's more detail listed for in each of these prompts. On our website, we have a link to some more details on giving guidance on filling out each of these statements, so check that out as well. All right, the next section is the development engineering specific section. So this is various items that are specific just for development engineering. The first section of this asks for your faculty interest. So we ask that you look at the department website to see the various faculty members who are affiliated with development engineering and indicate faculty whose research or teaching aligns with your interests. So you'll list them in rank order from 1 to 3, and then tell us a little bit about why you chose those faculty members. The next section here asks you to identify a preferred concentration. All students in MDevEng choose a concentration which shapes some of the elective courses that they take in the program. And so we'd like to hear what your initial interest is for a concentration. Now, this can be changed once you join the program in your first semester. So what you put here won't be the final decision on what your concentration is if you're admitted, but we'd at least like to get your initial interest down here. So check out the website for more details on each of the concentrations, and then indicate here. If none of the existing concentrations quite match your interests, you have the option of identifying a self-designed concentration, and if you select that, you can we ask you to list a brief description about what you would want to focus on in a self-designed concentration. All right, then we ask you to let us know. We'd love to hear how you heard about the program. And then finally, we ask you to submit your portfolio. Now, the portfolio is perhaps the part of the application we get the most questions about. In essence, this is a chance for you to highlight 3 to 5 projects or experiences you've been a part of that demonstrate your problem solving, critical thinking, and creative innovation skills. We list a number of examples of what you can include in your portfolio in the admissions guide, so we encourage you to check that out. The work you showcase in your portfolio can include work you've done with others, but it should be clear what part you contributed to the project. The format is a maximum 10-page PDF document. Many students find it easiest to create their portfolio in something like Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint and then convert it to a PDF, but ultimately it's up to you how you want to format it. Do check out the example portfolios we've included in the admissions guide and on the website, as those can give you a little bit more of a concrete idea of what a portfolio could look like. But ultimately know that we want to see your creativity, we want to see your work. So do make your portfolio your own. You're welcome to design it how you prefer. This is your chance to kind of showcase who you are, the work that you've done, and what you're about. And then the next section that we'll talk about is the departmental grant application. Now, this is for students who want to be considered for need-based fellowships through the department. We ask you to submit information about your background here that will be considered when we're determining need-based fellowships. And importantly, we ask that you provide some details about your financial circumstances here at the end as part of this departmental grant essay. All right, and then the next section that we'll talk about is the supporting materials. So here we ask you to upload your resume or CV, just identifying all your previous work and accomplishments, a sample of relevant written work. If you have a very long paper, like a 50-page paper you've worked on, we ask that you not submit that whole paper, but take an excerpt of it that you think showcases your good writing skills and upload that sample here. If you have any publications and presentations, you're welcome to provide a list of those and upload them here. But if you don't, that's okay. You can just skip this section. And then same, any honors or awards or special recognitions you've received can be listed in this section. And then if your work is published as part of a website, you can provide the URL here. All right, and then finally, you'll submit your payment information, sign off on the information agreement, and then submit your application. Okay, we wish you the best as you work on your application. Please do let us know if you have any questions. You can email us at devenginfo@berkeley.edu or set up an advising appointment. Link is below.